Hello. Let me get settled with my drinky and sit back. Hello, how you doing? So if we haven't met, I'm Lindsay and this is our coffee break time. So you can check out the other coffee breaks on this playlist if you like the format of this. So this is just a really informal chat. Bring your drink, have a sit down, put your feet up. It doesn't have to be coffee. You can have tea, you can have squash, you can have water, you can have hot chocolate. We are all welcome here. Okay, so I've not got coffee. I have got rooibos, the green tea variety, which is what I fancied after my lunch. We had a late lunch today. It's 2:45 now, and I've just finished my lunch, which is a late one for me, which was just because we were out. So we went to a soft play. If you are not in the UK, I don't know if you call it a soft play, but like a soft indoor play area where there's like slides and climby things and spinny things. So I have been climbing around that with my daughter, and they've got a cafe there. She had some food, but we're like up and down and up and down, and my ideal is to wait till we get home and I can have a sit down and a rest really, and like put something on Netflix and chill out a bit while I have my food. Excuse me, itchy nose. So it's just going to be a short chat. Try and keep it short to make it a little coffee break spot so that you can watch it when you're having a rest. And maybe you're working, maybe you're a mum and you're having a few minutes, whatever it is. I just had the thought, or maybe you're in the bathroom, and then I filtered it, but then I couldn't filter it because I kind of did a weird pause because I was having that thought, so I had to kind of share. Anyway, you are the right people to share bathroom talk with, aren't you? Let's be honest, we talk about it all here. So we went to this soft play, and as we were driving there, I had a thought pop into my mind, and I thought, oh, that's what I'm going to talk about if I do a coffee break video later. And it is the phrase being a tight arse. So if you're not in the UK, if you don't know that phrase, I'm sure you have something similar, and I'm sure you get the gist. If you do have a similar one, let me know what it is because I'm curious. And it's that idea that, you know, that you're a tight wad, a tight arse, that you're tight with your money usually, you know, moths in the wallet sort of thing. Excuse me. And I needed to share that I identify with that. It's really uncomfortable to own our shadow stuff, isn't it? But it's important that we do that and make it okay, because we all have shadow stuff. We all have the stuff that we're really proud to show off that's shiny, and we have the stuff that we sort of hide under the rocks, and that's a part of all of us, and all of us is just fine. But part of my healing journey is looking at these patterns, and the phrases that we use are really helpful to us to help us identify what our patterns are and how that energy is showing up in our body. So if you identify with that, you might find this useful. Now, it tends to be people who get constipated, who have this tendency, or maybe, you know, difficulty passing a stool in some way, because we kind of like, we get backed up. It's hard to let go. It's hard to allow that flow. But of course, everything is just one end of the stick, and it's the same topic for the other end of the stick. So, you know, whatever I'm talking about, if you don't identify it, notice if you identify completely the opposite, you know, and just tune into that. And we need to do it with lightness and with laughter and loads of self-compassion, and not asking ourselves even to do anything about it right now, just to acknowledge it, just to notice it, just to make it conscious. And that is always like the first really empowered part of our healing, isn't it? It's just to notice it. Before, it was invisible to us, and now we know. I mean, that's a huge shift. I'm in my 40s and I'm just looking at this stuff, you know? So I think it's really helpful and really important that we just make light of it, and do it without any blame, without any shame, without any self-loathing, without any beating ourselves up, and without any pressure, because gosh, that can make it worse as well, can't we? Because if we don't like our patterns and they feel ugly, then that causes different symptoms. If we don't like our patterns and we apply pressure to try and push it through and to change it, then that's going to create different symptoms. You can see how all of these words, all of this language shows up as energy, as how it moves from mouth through to the colon and out the other end. So it's really important. And so I thought I would just chat a bit about it. So the reason the thought came into my mind was because we're driving to the soft play and I'm smiling, realising I have bought a bag, you know, mum style, of drinks and snacks, and there's a cafe there. And I know that the cafe has a rule of not having your own food and drinks. So I've picked up things that, you know, are nibbles. Now we are going to buy food and drink when we're there, you know. So just to just to say, I'm not trying to put them out of business or anything, but you know what it's like when you're out with kids, you're out for the day, and you can just be like all the time, you know. So we had some squash and some crisps and some fruit and stuff in the bag. Now, there is nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to make that wrong for me. I'm certainly not trying to make that wrong for you. But it's really important for me to acknowledge that those patterns are there, that I am trying to exert some control over my financial spending in a way that feels safe for me, that feels like I'm not, you know, overspending, I'm not splurging. But it's deeper than that, isn't it? It's not feeling ripped off. It's like, oh, even more than that, like getting a good deal, saving a bit of money, you know. It's like, and that tendency is there. And if you have that, you'll notice that it shows up for you in other areas of your life as well. I'll think of some in a minute. But what I want to say, because this is really important and I want to be really clear about this, this is not a budget sensitive conversation, okay? We all have different economic needs, we all have different circumstances. This is not about whether or not we can or can't afford something. I'm sure there's a really important conversation to have in this, but this isn't about that. So whatever your what's the word I want? Whatever your allowance is, wherever your, you know, your salary and your spending and your needs are at, it's not about that level, it's about a feeling. You know, I know that I have those same tendencies and that same thinking when I have been super skint and money's been super tight and I've really needed to watch my budget around things like food and drink, and when I have been earning and been in reasonable circumstances and felt fairly abundant, I still have the same tendencies. So it's the mindset, it's the tendencies, it's the energy, it's the patterns that I want to talk about, not what you can and can't afford and ways of saving money, you know, because there's some sensible conscious thinking about that, of course. So I just really want to invite us into that, and you'll know if you identify with these things. I'll try and share some of mine so it might touch on something for you, but like things like do you love good deals, you know, 2-for-1 offers, buy, you know, that sort of buy one get one free pog off thing, you know, the old saving coupons, money off vouchers, if you like need to get a good deal like on your phone, or you know, I don't know, your car insurance or whatever it is. Are you like me, that you're always looking for the very best deal price wise? It doesn't really matter what else they're giving you in that, you know, it's like, yeah, but, and how hard can I push them? And oh, what else? You know, clothes sale, of course, a clothes sale. And I know you can be listening to this and thinking, everyone loves a sale, everyone loves a good deal. But I know lots of people who don't do what I do and really look for that, and might not prioritise a choice because it's a sale item over just going and buying the thing that they really want, you know, whereas I would have that, like, you know, I try and be conscious of it these days, but that tendency is still there. And before, you know, I sort of shone a light on this, it was definitely something that was very much a pattern for me. So, you know, do you think, wow, I got a great deal, you know, I come home from the shops and I got this great deal in the sale, but it's not really the top that you really wanted. It was the one that was the good price and you thought that's good enough, you know. So it's just looking at those, like those money things. But this tendency can also, you know, being a tight ass in your energy can show up. Oh God, sorry, I've got uncomfortable ankles. Can show up in your relationships, in, you know, how much time you give to people, even wear and tear on stuff. You know, do you save certain things for best? Are you scared to use things in case they age or depreciate in value, you know, so you don't actually get the nice use out of them? Oh, and food, of course, in food, you know, we all know it's good for our digestion to sit and rest and chew our food and enjoy it. And we want to savour our food and enjoy it, of course. And those things are important. But are you like being tight with your food consumption to the extent that you are like overly taking your time, you know, really making every bite count because you're not going to allow yourself to have more than X amount calories or fat or certain macros or a physical amount of food, or fasting. I definitely used to do this with fasting. I would only allow myself to eat a certain amount of times, and then I would fast and I would push that hard, you know, and it was like another way of like putting limits around and being a tight ass with myself, you know. And so if you're somebody who is very aware, either because of constipation or very aware of like some sort of physical tightness in the release when you go for a poop, this is something to really pay attention to. You know, if it's hard to pass a stool for any reason and there's any kind of tightness in the colon or in the rectum, it's a really useful one. So there you go, the things we talk about at coffee time. I'm trying to think if there's any more examples. Oh, do you know, I just put my hand to my mouth and I thought, my nail polish is really crappy. Sorry, language, YouTube, Lindsay. My nail polish is a mess. I need to redo it. And it made me think, you know, things like makeup, things that you use up, you know, you can be a tight ass in terms of the quality of things that you will buy according to your budget, of course. Or like haircuts and things like that, but you can also be a tight ass in terms of, you know, limiting how often or how much product you use and trying to like eke it all out. Or that could be like, oh, tea bags, you know. Are you like somebody who insists on reusing a tea bag? Is it really because you don't mind the second cup being a little bit weaker, or is there a little bit of like squeezing a bit more out of that, getting more value from it, or spices or whatever it is, you know, that you're using in the kitchen? So I hope that's got some useful stuff. I hope that was interesting. Do share. I'd love to know some more, because I'm just kind of pondering this one a bit more today for myself, different ways it can show up. So if I think of more, I'll come and share some more sometime. Have a really good day. I hope you had a nice break. I hope you had a nice drink, and I will see you soon. Bye.